When we hear the phrase "founding fathers," what comes to mind? Brilliant men in powdered wigs, signing the Declaration of Independence, quoting liberty, and shaping the greatest democracy in history. But how much of that is myth? And how much is reality? In this video, we'll uncover the truth behind the legends. The Founding Fathers were human, ambitious, flawed, and sometimes hypocritical. Let's break down the myths versus reality behind the most iconic figures in American history. Who were the Founding Fathers? Before we dive into the myths, let's clarify. Who exactly were the Founding Fathers? This group typically includes leaders like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton. They played major roles in America's independence and the creation of the Constitution, but their stories have been polished over time. Let's take a closer look. Myth number 1, all the Founding Fathers wanted freedom for everyone reality. Many talked about liberty, but didn't practice it equally. Yes, the Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal. But many Founding Fathers owned slaves, including George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. Jefferson, who wrote those famous words, enslaved over 600 people in his lifetime. He even fathered children with one of his enslaved women, Sally Hemings. This doesn't erase their accomplishments, but it reveals the contradiction at America's core, a fight for freedom built on the backs of the enslaved. Myth number 2, the founders were always united. Reality. They argued a lot. We often imagine the founders as one united team, but in reality, they were deeply divided on major issues. Hamilton wanted a strong central government. Jefferson wanted states to have more power. Adams and Hamilton couldn't stand each other. Even Jefferson and Adams were bitter enemies for years before reconciling later in life. Their debates helped shape the Constitution. But make no mistake, unity was not guaranteed. Myth number 3, they were all selfless patriots. Reality, many had personal ambitions, egos, and financial interests. The narrative often paints them as noble heroes sacrificing everything for the country, but some founders were also protecting their land, wealth, and status. Many were elite landowners and businessmen. They stood to lose money if Britain continued to tax them heavily. Some used their influence to benefit personally during and after the Revolution. Patriotism was real, but so was self-interest. Myth number 4, they were all highly educated geniuses. Reality, while some were brilliant, not all had formal education. Thomas Jefferson was a philosopher and inventor. Ben Franklin was self-taught and a genius in science, politics, and diplomacy. George Washington, on the other hand, had very limited formal education. Alexander Hamilton came from poverty and rose through sheer ambition and intellect. They were not all aristocrats or scholars. Some were truly self-made. Myth number 5, they won independence alone. Reality, America didn't win the revolution by itself. The story often focuses on brave Americans defeating the British Empire. But the truth is that the U.S. could not have won without foreign help, especially from France. France supplied weapons, money, and soldiers. The French Navy played a huge role at the Battle of Yorktown. Spain and the Netherlands also supported the Americans financially. Without international alliances, the outcome may have been very different. Myth number 6, they created a perfect system. Reality, the Constitution was full of compromises and flaws. The Founding Fathers built a revolutionary government, but it was far from perfect. It protected slavery. It didn't give women the right to vote. It ignored Native Americans entirely. The Electoral College and Senate structure were controversial even back then. They knew it wasn't perfect. That's why they included the amendment process. They expected future generations to improve on what they started. The human side of the founders. Let's step back and look at them as humans, not statues. George Washington was admired for his leadership, but he struggled with fear of failure and constantly worried about his legacy. Alexander Hamilton was brilliant, but impulsive and had many political enemies. Benjamin Franklin was witty and wise, but had a strained relationship with his son, a loyalist. John Adams was a fierce advocate for justice, but often stubborn and unpopular. They weren't gods. They were people, driven by ideals, ambitions, flaws, and fears. Why myths still matter, and why truth matters more. The myths surrounding the Founding Fathers can inspire pride, but they can also distort history. By understanding the truth, we gain a deeper appreciation for what they accomplished. We learn that progress isn't perfect, and democracy is always evolving. And we realize that even flawed people can help build something great. The real power of their legacy is this: they created a system that allowed future generations to fight for more freedom, more justice, and a more perfect union. The Founding Fathers weren't flawless heroes. They were real people with real contradictions, and yet they laid the foundation for a country that continues to grow and redefine freedom. By separating myth from reality, we don't weaken their legacy. We make it stronger, more honest, and more human. If you found this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the textbook. Until next time, remember, history is more than heroes. It's about truth.